Hello, beautiful soul. I want you to know that right now, in this very moment, you are exactly where you need to be. Whatever brought you here today, whatever feelings you're carrying in your heart, whatever thoughts are swirling through your mind, all of it is perfect. You are perfect just as you are. I sense that perhaps you've been feeling stuck lately, or maybe overwhelmed by emotions that seem to have a mind of their own. Maybe you wake up some mornings and wonder why everything feels so heavy, or why the same worries keep circling back no matter how hard you try to push them away. Or perhaps you've noticed that your days seem to blur together, filled with the same feelings, the same reactions, the same sense that something needs to change, but you're not quite sure what or how. What I want to share with you today is something so simple, yet so profound, that it can literally transform how you feel in the next few minutes. It's not about forcing yourself to think positive thoughts or pretending everything is wonderful when it's not. It's about understanding something beautiful about how your mind works and how you have more power over your emotional experience than you might realize. You see, every single moment of every single day, your mind is like a spotlight. Just like a flashlight that can point in any direction, your mental attention is constantly moving from one thing to another. And here's what's so amazing. Wherever that spotlight of your attention goes, your feelings follow. It's as natural as breathing, and it's been happening automatically your whole life. When that mental spotlight shines on something that brings you joy, maybe the warmth of sunlight through your window, or the memory of someone you love laughing, your whole body responds. Your shoulders might relax a little, your breathing becomes easier, and something inside you softens. But when that same spotlight turns towards something that troubles you, a worry about tomorrow, a painful memory, or a fear about what might happen, your body responds differently. Your muscles might tighten, your heart might beat faster, and that familiar knot might form in your stomach. This isn't your fault, and it doesn't mean you're weak or broken. It means you're human. It means your system is working exactly as it was designed to work. Your mind and body are having a conversation all the time, and your feelings are simply the language they use to communicate with each other. The beautiful truth is that you can learn to direct that spotlight consciously. You can choose where to point your attention, and when you do, you're literally choosing how you want to feel. This isn't about denial or avoiding reality. It's about recognizing that you have options in every moment about where you place your focus, and those options can change everything. Think about how this works in small ways that you might already know. When you're feeling upset and someone shows you a funny video, for just a moment your attention shifts completely to what you're watching, and your upset feelings pause. Or when you're worried about something and you start playing with a child or a pet, suddenly your focus is entirely on their joy and playfulness, and for those moments, the worry simply isn't there. Your circumstances didn't change, but your experience changed completely because your focus changed. This is the gentle magic we're going to explore together. Not magic in some mystical sense, but the very real, very practical magic of understanding that you are not a victim of your feelings. You are not powerless in the face of your emotions. You have been given this wonderful gift of being able to consciously direct your attention, and when you learn to use this gift, everything begins to shift. The connection between where you focus and how you feel is one of the most fundamental truths about being human. It's so basic to how we operate that most of the time we don't even notice it happening. But once you begin to see this connection clearly, you'll start to notice it everywhere in your life. Your brain is constantly taking in millions of pieces of information every second. Right now, even as you're listening to these words, your brain is aware of the temperature around you, any sounds in the background, the feeling of whatever you're sitting or standing on, the rhythm of your breathing, and countless other things. but your conscious mind can only focus on a small portion of all that information at any given moment. What you choose to focus on becomes your reality in that moment. When you focus on the part of your body that feels tense, tension becomes your primary experience. When you focus on the part of your body that feels comfortable and relaxed, comfort becomes your primary experience. The tension and the comfort might both be present at the same time, but the one you focus on is the one that shapes how you feel overall. This happens with thoughts and memories too. You might have 1,000 different memories from your childhood, some wonderful, some difficult, some neutral. But if your focus keeps returning to the difficult ones, those difficult feelings from the past become your present experience. Your body doesn't know the difference between thinking about something painful that happened years ago and experiencing something painful right now. It responds to your focus, not to time. The same is true for thoughts about the future. When your focus goes to worrying about what might go wrong tomorrow, your body responds as if those problems are happening right now. Your heart rate might increase, your breathing might become shallow, and stress hormones begin flowing through your system. All of this happens not because anything is actually wrong in this moment, but because your focus has traveled to an imaginary future scenario. But the opposite is equally true. When your focus goes to appreciating something beautiful around you right now, your body responds with relaxation and well-being. When your focus goes to a happy memory, your body releases the same feel-good chemicals it released during the original experience. When your focus goes to imagining something wonderful in your future, your body responds with excitement and joy, as if that wonderful thing is already beginning to happen. Understanding this gives you incredible power. It means that you don't have to wait for your circumstances to change in order to feel better. You don't have to wait for other people to behave differently. You don't have to wait for the perfect conditions. You can begin to feel differently right now simply by changing where you place your attention. This doesn't mean ignoring real problems or pretending everything is perfect when it's not. It means recognizing that even when you're dealing with challenges, you still have choices about where you focus within those challenges. You can focus on what's overwhelming about a situation, or you can focus on what resources you have to handle it. You can focus on what's wrong, or you can focus on what's still working. You can focus on what you're afraid might happen, or you can focus on what you hope will happen. Each of these different focuses will create a completely different feeling experience in your body, which will give you different energy and different clarity to work with whatever you're facing. When you're focused on feeling overwhelmed, you have overwhelmed energy to bring to your situation. When you're focused on your resources and strengths, you have resourceful, strong energy to bring to the same situation. Your feelings are always giving you information about where your focus is. If you're feeling anxious, you can be sure your focus is on something that feels threatening or uncertain. If you're feeling sad, your focus is likely on something you've lost or something you're missing. If you're feeling angry, your focus is probably on something that feels unfair or wrong. None of these feelings are bad or wrong, but they are always pointing back to where your attention is dwelling. Most of us have developed patterns of focus that we learned very early in life, often before we even knew we were learning them. These patterns were usually our mind's way of trying to keep us safe or help us navigate the world as children. But sometimes these old patterns of attention are no longer serving us as adults. Many of us learn to scan constantly for problems. Maybe this helped us as children to stay out of trouble or to take care of family members who needed help. But as adults, this habit of always looking for what's wrong can leave us feeling stressed and unhappy, even when life is actually going pretty well. The mind that's trained to spot problems will find them everywhere, even in good situations. Some of us learn to focus on what we don't have rather than what we do have. Perhaps this came from growing up with very little or from being around adults who were always worried about money or security. This focus on lack can persist even when we actually have enough, because the mind is still running the old program of scanning for what's missing. Others learn to focus on other people's moods and reactions, maybe because it felt important to keep everyone else happy. This pattern can leave us feeling like our own emotional well-being depends entirely on how other people are feeling, which is exhausting and leaves us feeling powerless over our own experience. Still, others learn to focus on the future, always thinking about what needs to happen next or what might go wrong down the road. This pattern can make it almost impossible to enjoy the present moment because the mind is always somewhere else, planning or worrying about later. Some of us learn to focus on the past, replaying things that went wrong or thinking about how things used to be better. This pattern can keep us stuck in old pain or old stories that prevent us from fully engaging with what's possible now. These patterns aren't anyone's fault. They developed for good reasons, and they probably helped us survive various situations earlier in our lives. But now that we're aware of them, we can begin to choose different patterns that serve us better. We can retrain our attention to focus in ways that create more peace, more joy, and more energy in our daily experience. The first step is simply noticing what your current patterns are. Throughout your day, you can begin to pay gentle attention to where your mind goes automatically. When you wake up in the morning, what does your attention focus on first? When you're driving or walking somewhere, what kinds of thoughts does your mind drift toward? When you're with other people, what do you find yourself focusing on about them or about the interaction? This isn't about judging yourself or trying to change anything yet. It's just about becoming aware. You might notice that your mind has a habit of immediately going to your to-do list when you wake up, or that it tends to focus on what people might be thinking about you when you're in social situations, or that it often goes to worst-case scenarios when you're making decisions. As you become more aware of these patterns, you might also start to notice how they affect how you feel. You might see that when your mind goes to the to-do list first thing in the morning, you immediately feel overwhelmed before your day has even begun. Or that when you focus on what others might be thinking, you feel anxious in situations that could actually be enjoyable. Or that when you focus on worst-case scenarios, you feel afraid of taking steps that could actually improve your life. This awareness is precious. It's the beginning of freedom. Because once you can see that these are just habits, patterns that your mind learned somewhere along the way, you realize that you can learn new patterns. You can train your attention to go to different places, places that make you feel more alive, more peaceful, more connected to your own strength and wisdom. You can begin to notice where your focus goes during different times of day, during different activities, and around different people. You might find that certain situations trigger certain focus patterns. Maybe being around family members triggers the old pattern of scanning for problems, or maybe being at work triggers the pattern of focusing on everything you haven't accomplished yet. This is all just information. This is your mind showing you how it learned to operate, and now you get to decide which of these patterns you want to keep and which ones you'd like to gently change. You get to become the conscious director of your own attention, which means you get to become the conscious creator of your own feeling experience. The most beautiful thing about discovering these patterns is realizing that awareness itself gives you choice. The moment you notice where your attention is going, you've already stepped into your power. You've moved from being unconscious about your focus to being conscious about it, and consciousness is where all change begins. This power of conscious choice is something that belongs to every human being, but many of us have never been taught that we have it. We've been taught that feelings just happen to us, that we're victims of our emotions, that we have no control over how we feel from moment to moment. But this simply isn't true. While we can't always control what happens around us, we can always choose where we place our attention within whatever is happening. This choice is available to you every single moment. Right now, as you're listening to these words, you could choose to focus on any discomfort in your body, and immediately you would feel more uncomfortable. Or you could choose to focus on the part of your body that feels most relaxed right now, and immediately you would feel more peaceful. You could focus on something you're worried about and feel anxious. Or you could focus on something you're grateful for and feel warm and appreciative. The choice is always yours. What makes this choice so powerful is that it works immediately. You don't have to meditate for months or read dozens of books or change your entire life. The moment you consciously direct your attention to something that feels better, you begin to feel better. It's that simple, and it's that profound. Of course, your mind might resist this idea at first. It might say things like, "But what about my real problems? What about the things that are actually wrong in my life? Isn't this just avoiding reality?" These are understandable concerns, and they deserve a gentle response. Choosing to focus on what feels better isn't about avoiding reality or pretending problems don't exist. It's about recognizing that you're much more effective at dealing with challenges when you're coming from a place of strength, clarity, and well-being than when you're coming from a place of stress, overwhelm, or despair. When you focus in ways that help you feel better, you're not running away from your problems. You're putting yourself in the best possible state of mind to handle them wisely. Think about it this way. When you're feeling overwhelmed and stressed, how clear is your thinking? How creative are your solutions? How much energy do you have to take positive action? Usually, when we're in negative emotional states, our thinking becomes narrow and our options seem limited. We make decisions from fear instead of wisdom, and we often create more problems than we solve. But when you feel good, when you're peaceful, confident, and clear, your thinking expands. You see possibilities you couldn't see before. You have access to your creativity, your wisdom, and your natural problem-solving abilities. You make better decisions because you're not making them from a place of panic or desperation. So learning to consciously choose where you focus isn't about avoiding your challenges. It's about approaching them from the most resourceful state possible. It's about giving yourself the gift of feeling good so that you can be most effective in creating positive change in your life. This choice also becomes easier with practice. At first, you might forget that you have this power. You might find yourself falling back into old patterns of focus without realizing it. But the more you practice conscious choice, the more natural it becomes. You begin to catch yourself sooner when your attention goes to places that don't serve you, and you become quicker at redirecting it to places that do. The key is to be gentle and patient with yourself as you learn. You've been practicing your old patterns for years, maybe decades. It's natural that it takes some time to develop new ones. But every single time you notice where your focus is and consciously choose to redirect it, you're strengthening your ability to do this. You're literally rewiring your brain to support patterns that create more well-being in your life. Now let's explore some simple, practical ways you can shift your focus whenever you notice it's creating feelings you don't want to experience. These techniques are gentle and effective, and you can use them anywhere, anytime, without anyone even knowing what you're doing. The first and most immediate technique is what I call the 5 things practice. Whenever you notice that your focus has gone to something that's making you feel bad, you can gently redirect your attention by looking around and finding 5 things you can see that you appreciate. Maybe it's the color of something near you, or the way light is falling across a surface, or a plant that's growing, or a picture that makes you smile. The key is to really look at each thing and allow yourself to appreciate it, even if just for a moment. This works because appreciation is one of the fastest ways to shift your energy. When you're genuinely appreciating something, it's impossible to feel anxious or sad or angry at the same time. Appreciation puts you in immediate connection with the part of you that recognizes beauty and goodness, and this part of you always feels peaceful and strong. Another powerful technique involves your breathing, which is always available to you as an anchor for your attention. When you notice your focus has gone somewhere that doesn't feel good, you can gently bring your attention to your breath. You don't need to change your breathing or control it in any way. Simply place your attention on the natural rhythm of breathing in and breathing out. As you focus on your breath, you might notice that your breathing naturally begins to slow down and deepen. This happens automatically when you give your breath gentle attention. And as your breathing slows and deepens, your whole nervous system begins to relax. Your heart rate slows, your muscles soften, and your mind becomes clearer and calmer. You can enhance this breath technique by adding a simple phrase that you repeat silently as you breathe. On the inhale, you might think, "I am breathing in peace," and on the exhale, "I am breathing out tension," or breathing in love and breathing out fear. Choose whatever words feel right to you in the moment. The words themselves aren't magic. They're just a way to keep your attention focused on something that supports your well-being. Body awareness is another wonderful tool for shifting focus. Your body is always in the present moment, and when you bring your attention to your body, you automatically come into the present too. When your mind is spinning with worries about the future or regrets about the past, you can redirect your focus to physical sensations happening right now. You might focus on the feeling of your feet connected to the ground, or the sensation of air moving in and out of your nostrils, or the feeling of your clothes against your skin. You might notice areas where your body feels warm, or places where it feels relaxed and comfortable. You can even place your hand on your heart and focus on the steady, reliable rhythm of your heartbeat. Gratitude is perhaps the most powerful focus-shifting tool of all. When you consciously direct your attention to something you're grateful for, your entire energy shifts immediately. It doesn't matter how small the thing is that you're grateful for. It could be that you have a warm place to sleep tonight, or that there's food in your refrigerator, or that someone smiled at you today, or that your body is healthy enough to carry you through your daily activities. The key with gratitude is to really feel it, not just think it. When you think, "I'm grateful for my home," you might not feel much of a shift. But when you really look around your home and let yourself feel appreciation for the walls that shelter you, the roof that keeps you dry, the comfortable places where you can rest, when you let that appreciation fill your chest and warm your heart, that's when the magic happens. You can practice gratitude for big things and tiny things. You can be grateful for the people you love, for opportunities you've been given, for challenges that have helped you grow stronger. You can also be grateful for the way morning light looks coming through your window, for the taste of your morning coffee, for the feeling of clean sheets, for the sound of rain on the roof. Another technique that works beautifully is what I call kind focus. This involves consciously directing your attention toward the kindness that exists in your world. You might focus on someone who was kind to you recently, or remember a time when you were kind to someone else. You might think about people in your life who are kind-hearted, or notice small acts of kindness happening around you. When you focus on kindness, you connect with the part of yourself that is naturally loving and generous. This part of you always feels good, and it reminds you that there is goodness in the world, even when things feel difficult. You can also shift your focus by engaging your senses in the present moment. Notice what you can hear right now, maybe birds singing, or music playing, or the sound of your own breathing. Notice what you can smell, perhaps the scent of flowers, or food cooking, or clean laundry. Notice what you can feel, the temperature of the air, the texture of something you're touching, the feeling of your clothing against your skin. When you engage your senses, you bring yourself fully into the present moment, and the present moment is always the place where peace is available to you. Your worries live in thoughts about the future, and your regrets live in thoughts about the past, but your senses can only experience what's happening right now. When you're dealing with particularly difficult emotions, grief, anger, fear, or deep sadness, the approach to shifting focus becomes a bit more gentle and nuanced. These strong emotions often carry important messages, and they deserve to be acknowledged and honored rather than simply pushed away. The goal isn't to make difficult emotions disappear instantly, because sometimes that's neither possible nor wise. Instead, the goal is to find ways to work with these emotions that allow you to feel them without being overwhelmed by them, and to discover that even within difficult emotional experiences, you still have choices about where you place your attention. When you're feeling intense grief, for example, you don't want to pretend you're not grieving or force yourself to think happy thoughts. Grief is a natural response to loss, and it needs space to be felt and expressed. But within the experience of grief, you can still choose where to focus. You can focus on the pain of what you've lost, which will intensify the suffering. Or you can focus on the love that created the grief in the first place, which honors your loss while connecting you to something beautiful and eternal. When you focus on the love, the precious memories, the ways this person or thing enriched your life, the gratitude you feel for having had this experience even though it's now over, you're still fully present with your grief, but you're experiencing it through the lens of love rather than through the lens of only loss. This doesn't make the grief go away, but it makes it more bearable and more healing. The same is true with anger. Anger often arises when something feels unfair or when our boundaries have been crossed. These are valid feelings that can give us important information about what we need to change or address in our lives. But within the experience of anger, you can choose whether to focus on blame and resentment, which will fuel the anger and often make you feel worse. Or you can focus on your own strength and your ability to create positive change in response to the situation. When you focus on your strength and your options for positive action, you're still honoring the message your anger is giving you, but you're channeling that energy in a way that empowers you rather than depletes you. You might feel just as determined to address the situation, but you'll be approaching it from wisdom rather than from reactivity. Fear is another emotion that can benefit from gentle focus shifting. Fear is trying to protect you by alerting you to potential dangers, and sometimes this protection is genuinely helpful. But often, fear focuses on worst-case scenarios that may never happen, and this kind of fear can paralyze you or prevent you from taking steps that would actually improve your life. When you're feeling afraid, you can acknowledge the fear and thank it for trying to protect you, and then gently redirect your focus to what you do know rather than what you don't know, to what you can control rather than what you can't control, and to the resources and support you have available rather than to everything that could go wrong. For instance, if you're afraid about a medical test you're waiting to hear results from, you can acknowledge that the fear is natural and understandable, but then you can choose to focus on the fact that you were wise to get the test done, that you're taking good care of your health, that you have people who love and support you, and that whatever the results are, you'll have options for how to respond. This doesn't eliminate the uncertainty, but it helps you feel more grounded and less overwhelmed while you wait. Sometimes, difficult emotions arise not from current circumstances, but from old pain that gets triggered by present situations. When this happens, it can be helpful to consciously direct some of your focus toward the part of you that exists in the present moment, the part of you that is safe now, that has grown and learned and become stronger since whatever happened in the past. You can place one hand on your heart and remind yourself, that was then, this is now. I am safe in this moment. I am stronger now than I was then. I have resources now that I didn't have then. This kind of loving self-talk helps you stay connected to your present moment strength even while you're processing old emotions. Another approach with difficult emotions is to focus on the temporary nature of all feelings. Emotions are like weather. They arise, they peak, and they pass away. No emotion, no matter how intense, lasts forever. When you're in the middle of a difficult emotional storm, you can remind yourself that this feeling is temporary, that it will shift and change, and that you have the strength to ride it out. You might say to yourself, this feeling is here right now, and that's okay. I can let it be here without fighting it. I know it will change, because all feelings change. I am strong enough to experience this feeling without being destroyed by it. This kind of gentle, accepting focus can help you move through difficult emotions with more grace and less resistance. Throughout all of this, the most important thing is to treat yourself with the same kindness you would offer to a dear friend who is going through something difficult. Your emotions are not your enemies. They're part of your human experience, and they often carry wisdom and important information. But you don't have to let them control your entire experience. You can learn to dance with them, to honor them while still maintaining your connection to peace, strength, and hope. Creating new habits of focus is like planting a garden. You start with small seeds, tiny moments of conscious choice, and with gentle, consistent care, they grow into something beautiful that nourishes your life every day. The wonderful thing about focus habits is that they don't require huge changes or dramatic shifts. They grow from small, loving actions that you can weave naturally into your daily routine. One of the most powerful habits you can develop is starting each day by consciously choosing where to place your attention first. Instead of immediately reaching for your phone or jumping into your to-do list, you can create a few moments of intentional focus that sets a positive tone for your entire day. This might be as simple as lying in bed for just a minute or two and thinking of 3 things you're looking forward to, or 3 things you appreciate about your life right now. You might also develop the habit of checking in with yourself several times throughout the day. You can set gentle reminders, perhaps when you wash your hands, or when you're waiting at red lights, or whenever you hear certain sounds, to pause and notice where your attention has been dwelling. This isn't about judging yourself if you find your focus has been somewhere negative, but simply about creating more awareness and more opportunities to make conscious choices. Mirror work is one of the most transformative focus habits you can develop, though it might feel uncomfortable at first. This involves looking at yourself in the mirror and consciously directing loving, accepting thoughts toward the person you see. You might start by simply looking into your own eyes and saying, I see you and you are doing your best. Or, I love you exactly as you are right now. Or, you are worthy of good things. At first, this might feel silly or fake, especially if you're used to being critical of yourself when you look in the mirror. But remember, you've been practicing negative self-focus for years. It makes sense that positive self-focus would feel unfamiliar at first. The more you practice consciously directing love and acceptance toward yourself, the more natural it becomes, and the more your overall relationship with yourself begins to shift. You can also create environmental cues that support positive focus habits. You might place small notes around your home or office that remind you to pause and appreciate something beautiful. You might keep a gratitude journal by your bedside and write down 3 things you appreciated about your day before you go to sleep. You might play music that lifts your spirits, or keep fresh flowers where you can see them, or arrange your living space in ways that make you feel peaceful and happy. The foods you eat, the media you consume, and the conversations you engage in all influence your natural focus patterns. When you fill your mind with news that emphasizes everything that's wrong with the world, it becomes easier for your focus to automatically go to problems and dangers. When you fill your mind with stories of human kindness, creativity, and resilience, it becomes easier for your focus to find these qualities in your own life. This doesn't mean you have to avoid all challenging information or pretend difficult things aren't happening in the world. It means being conscious about how much negative information you expose yourself to, and making sure you're also feeding your mind with content that reminds you of what's beautiful and good and possible. The people you spend time with also influence your focus habits. People who constantly complain or focus on problems can pull your attention in those directions, while people who tend to appreciate life and look for solutions can help your mind develop more positive patterns. You don't have to cut negative people out of your life, but you can become more conscious about how different relationships affect your mental habits, and you can choose to spend more time with people who support the kind of focus you want to develop. Building new focus habits also means being patient and gentle with yourself when you notice old patterns returning. Change doesn't happen overnight, and there will be days when you forget to use these tools, or when your mind feels stuck in old grooves despite your best efforts. This is completely normal and doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're human and you're learning something new. On difficult days, the gentlest habit you can develop is self-compassion. When you notice your focus has been somewhere that doesn't serve you, instead of criticizing yourself, you can speak to yourself the way you would speak to a small child who is learning something challenging. You might say, "It's okay, sweetness. You're learning. Let's try again." This kind of loving response actually makes it easier to redirect your focus because you're not adding self-criticism to whatever you are already dealing with. As you begin to shift your own focus patterns, something magical starts to happen in your relationships and in the circumstances of your life. The energy you carry, which is directly influenced by where you place your attention, affects everyone and everything around you in ways that are both subtle and profound. When your focus is primarily on appreciation, love, and possibility, you naturally radiate an energy that feels good to be around. People are drawn to you because being near you makes them feel better about themselves and about life. They might not even understand why, but they leave interactions with you feeling a little more hopeful, a little more peaceful, a little more connected to their own goodness. This isn't about being artificially positive or pretending everything is wonderful all the time. It's about the genuine warmth and openness that naturally arise when you're connected to the loving, appreciative parts of yourself. When you're focused on what you're grateful for, gratitude shines through your eyes. When you're focused on the kindness in people, you naturally bring out the kindness in others. When you're focused on possibilities and solutions, you inspire others to think more creatively about their own challenges. Your family members begin to respond differently to you. Your coworkers notice something has shifted, even if they can't put their finger on what it is. Strangers are more likely to smile at you, to be helpful, to engage in those small moments of human connection that brighten both of your days. This happens not because you're doing anything differently on the outside, but because your inner focus has changed the energy you're bringing to every interaction. Your relationship with challenging people also begins to shift. When someone is behaving in ways that used to trigger automatic negative reactions in you, your new focus habits allow you to respond from a different place. Instead of immediately focusing on what's wrong with their behavior, you might find yourself focusing on the pain or fear that's probably driving their behavior. This doesn't mean you accept harmful treatment, but it means you can respond from compassion rather than reactivity, which often leads to much better outcomes. Even your relationship with difficult circumstances begins to change. When you face challenges, and you will, because challenges are part of life, your trained focus helps you see options and resources that you might have missed when your attention was consumed by the problem itself. You find yourself asking different questions. Instead of, "Why is this happening to me?" you ask, "What can I learn from this?" Instead of, "This is terrible," you ask, "How can I grow stronger through this?" Instead of, "Nothing ever works out," you ask, "What good might come from this situation?" This shift in focus doesn't magically make all problems disappear, but it does change your experience of working through problems. You approach challenges with more energy, more creativity, and more resilience. You're able to see opportunities that exist within difficulties. You're able to maintain your connection to hope and strength even when things are genuinely hard. The people in your life begin to trust you more, to seek your input more often, to want to include you in positive experiences. This happens because your energy feels safe and uplifting to them. They know that being around you won't drain them or pull them into negative spirals. Instead, being around you helps them remember their own strength and goodness. Your work life often improves as well. When your focus is on what you can contribute rather than what you're not getting, on what's working rather than what's broken, on how you can be helpful rather than how others are failing you, you become the kind of person that supervisors want to promote and colleagues want to collaborate with. You become a solution finder rather than a problem dweller, and solution finders are valuable everywhere. Even your physical health can be influenced by your focus patterns. When your attention regularly goes to appreciation, love, and peace, your body spends more time in states of relaxation and restoration. Your immune system functions better, your sleep improves, your digestion works more efficiently, and your overall vitality increases. When your focus is constantly on stress, problems, and fears, your body remains in states of tension and alarm that wear down your physical systems over time. Your financial life may shift as well. When your focus is on abundance, on what you do have, on opportunities that exist, on your ability to create value in the world, you naturally start to notice and act on possibilities that you might have missed when your attention was focused on lack and limitation. You make decisions from confidence rather than fear, and confident decisions usually lead to better outcomes. Perhaps most importantly, as your focus habits change, you begin to trust yourself more. You realize that you have much more power over your daily experience than you ever imagined. You stop feeling like a victim of your circumstances and start feeling like a conscious creator of your life experience. This doesn't mean you control everything that happens to you, but it means you control how you respond to everything that happens to you, and that response shapes the quality of your entire life. Making these focus shifts a sustainable part of your daily life requires weaving them into your routine in ways that feel natural and achievable. The goal isn't to be perfect or to never have negative thoughts again. The goal is to develop enough awareness and enough practice that you can catch yourself when your focus goes somewhere that doesn't serve you and gently redirect it to somewhere that does. Start small and be consistent rather than trying to change everything at once. You might begin with just 1 minute each morning where you consciously focus on something you appreciate, or you might choose one daily activity, like brushing your teeth or making your morning coffee, as a cue to check in with yourself and notice where your attention has been dwelling. Many people find it helpful to create what I call focus anchors throughout their day. These are regular activities that become opportunities to practice conscious attention. Every time you wash your hands, you might take a moment to appreciate the miracle of clean water. Every time you walk through a doorway, you might pause to appreciate something beautiful you can see. Every time you hear a phone ring, you might take a deep breath and focus on feeling grateful for your ability to connect with others. The key is to choose anchors that already happen regularly in your day, so you don't have to remember to add something completely new to your routine. You're simply using things you already do as reminders to practice positive focus. Keeping a simple journal can also help you integrate these practices. You don't need to write pages and pages. Even just jotting down one thing you appreciated each day or one moment when you successfully redirected your focus helps reinforce these new patterns. Writing things down makes them more concrete and helps your mind recognize and remember positive patterns. When you notice your focus has gone somewhere that doesn't feel good, try to catch yourself with curiosity rather than criticism. You might think, "Oh, interesting. I notice my mind went to worrying about tomorrow. I wonder what would feel better to focus on right now." This kind of gentle, curious response makes it much easier to shift your attention than harsh self-judgment does. Create visual reminders that support positive focus. You might put a small stone in your pocket that you can touch whenever you want to remember to focus on something you're grateful for. Or you might set gentle chimes on your phone that remind you to pause and appreciate something beautiful. Or you might put small notes in places where you'll see them, on your bathroom mirror, on your car dashboard, on your computer screen, that simply say things like, "What am I grateful for right now?" Or, "What beauty can I notice?" Remember that this is a practice, not a destination. There will be days when negative focus feels easier and more familiar than positive focus. There will be times when appreciating anything feels almost impossible. This doesn't mean you're doing something wrong or that these tools don't work. It means you're human, and some days are harder than others. On the difficult days, the most important thing is to be gentle with yourself. You might not be able to focus on gratitude or appreciation, but you can focus on self-compassion. You can place your hand on your heart and remind yourself that you're doing your best, that you're learning something new, and that tomorrow is a fresh opportunity to practice. You might also find it helpful to have a few emergency focus techniques ready for particularly challenging moments. These might be memorizing a few phrases that help you shift your attention quickly, like, "This feeling is temporary," or "I am stronger than this challenge," or "I can handle whatever comes." Or you might have a mental list of 3 things you can always find to appreciate, even on hard days. Perhaps the fact that you have a place to sleep, or that your body is carrying you through your day, or that somewhere in the world there are people who love you. Building a sustainable practice also means celebrating your progress, even when it feels small. Each time you notice your focus and consciously redirect it, you're literally rewiring your brain. Each time you choose appreciation over criticism, or hope over fear, or love over judgment, you're strengthening neural pathways that support well-being. This is real, physical change happening in your brain, and it deserves to be acknowledged and celebrated. As we come to the end of our time together, I want you to know how proud I am of you for being here, for listening, for opening your heart to the possibility that you have more power over your experience than you might have realized. The simple fact that you've stayed present with these ideas tells me something beautiful about your spirit, that you're committed to your own growth, your own healing, your own journey toward greater peace and joy. What we've explored together isn't just theory or nice-sounding concepts. This is practical magic that you can begin using immediately. Right now, in this very moment, you can choose where to place your attention, and that choice will influence how you feel. In the next moment, you can choose again. and in the moment after that, you can choose again. Each choice is a small act of love toward yourself, a gentle step toward the life you truly want to live. I want you to remember that you don't have to be perfect at this. You don't have to never have negative thoughts or difficult emotions again. You don't have to transform overnight or maintain constant positivity. You simply need to remember that you have options and that these options are always available to you, no matter what's happening in your life. Some days, using these tools will feel natural and easy. Your focus will shift effortlessly toward appreciation and love, and you'll feel the immediate benefits of this shift. Other days, it will feel harder. Your mind will seem determined to focus on problems and fears, and redirecting your attention will require more effort and patience. Both kinds of days are normal, and both kinds of days offer opportunities to practice and grow. On the easy days, enjoy the flow and let yourself feel grateful for how natural this positive focus can become. On the harder days, be extra gentle with yourself and remember that the very fact that you're trying to shift your focus is already changing you in beautiful ways, even if you can't feel it in the moment. You are not broken, and you don't need to be fixed. You are a beautiful, worthy human being who is learning to use one of your greatest gifts, your ability to consciously direct your attention. This gift has always been yours, and now you're simply becoming more aware of how to use it in ways that serve your highest good. As you go forward from here, carry with you the knowledge that every moment offers you a fresh opportunity to choose focus that supports your well-being. You don't have to wait for perfect conditions or for everything in your life to be exactly as you want it. You can begin right now, wherever you are, with whatever you're facing, to look for what you can appreciate, what you can love, what you can hope for. Your life is precious and your well-being matters. You deserve to feel good. You deserve to experience joy and peace and love. And you deserve to know your own strength and wisdom. These aren't things you have to earn or achieve. They are your birthright as a human being, and they become accessible to you through the loving direction of your attention. I believe in you completely. I believe in your ability to create positive change in your life through these simple but powerful practices. I believe in your strength to face whatever challenges come your way while maintaining your connection to love and hope. I believe in your wisdom to know what's best for you and your courage to choose it, moment by moment, day by day. Remember, you are loved, you are worthy, and you have everything within you that you need to create a life filled with peace, joy, and meaning. Change your focus and watch as your entire world begins to transform in the most beautiful ways. Go gently, go lovingly, and trust the magnificent being that you are.